But on the other hand, there are a lot of advantages to discussing your idea with people. They might know of products or services that are similar to what you're trying to offer, and so that could be really helpful to know about. They might have helpful suggestions of how your idea can be modified, or new features you could add to it that you haven't thought of. They might help you gauge the amount of interest that consumers are going to have, or figure out what exactly consumers are looking for. And this is especially true if you can talk to people who would be potential customers of yours. That can be really valuable. They also might know reasons your idea might fail that you haven't thought of. Maybe they have some experience in the industry and they understand the way things work there that you don't quite understand. They might suggest people you could hire who have relevant expertise. And it might be especially useful to talk to experts in the area or people who have a lot of experience in that industry, as they can especially have insights that you wouldn't have ever thought of. All right, so I have some rules of thumb for when it comes to secrecy. My rules of thumb are that it's usually worth sharing your idea with a handful of smart, knowledgeable, trustworthy people. This is almost always worthwhile. You should always tell them, though, that you want them to keep it a secret until your product is launched, because why not? It's going to reduce the chance of them spreading it. At the same time, you should not share your idea, ever, with someone who can easily implement it. So, for example, if you have a great new idea for a social networking site, don't go share it with a high-ranking software developer at Facebook. I mean, they could implement it trivially easily compared to how much effort it would take you. It's just a bad idea. At the same time, if parts of your idea are very clever, such that even after you launch your product, competitors are still not going to be able to figure out how to do what you did, you probably want to keep those aspects secret, because they probably represent real value to your business as secrets. And finally, it's important to note that being too secretive in an office environment can actually affect people's productivity and efficiency. And this has been a problem in some companies. So what you want to do there, I think, is make sure that people know the information that they need to know to get the job done, and they don't keep bumping up against secrecy hurdles that they have to get through. But at the same time, if there's certain information that if one of your employees took it to a competitor would ruin your business, you probably don't want your employees to know that, or you want to limit it to just maybe 1 or 2 employees who work on that specific project. All right, so now that you've started discussing your ideas with other people, it's time to get down and do some serious research. So what kind of things do you want to research? Well, first of all, you want to research your competition. You want to find out what products and services are there in the market right now that are similar to what you're offering. You want to know which companies are going to be your biggest competitors. You want to know what good practices do your competitors currently use. So you should be scouring your competitors' websites, reading their marketing materials if you can find them, reading industry magazines and blogs to find out best practices that are industry standard. And you should talk to people who work in the industry. You also want to research customers. You want to figure out what sort of person might be interested in this product. You want to talk to potential customers. You want to know, is this product really something that people are willing to start using? Maybe people like the idea, but are they really going to transfer from whatever they're currently doing? That could be a big barrier. Also, what sort of features do the customers want to see? You're not necessarily going to be able to figure this out just from first principles or by thinking about it. It can be really helpful to actually speak to people. And finally, how much are customers willing to pay for this product? It's not obvious, but it could have a huge impact on the success of your business ultimately. Third big area to research is legal. So does anyone hold patents that are relevant to your business? If they do, it doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't start the business, but you should be aware of what's out there, what's patented. You might actually get ideas from patents that you might be able to use without violating those patents, or you might accidentally violate patents that you should be aware of. So that's important. Also, I should mention, you can search patents online through the U.S. Patent Office. You can also search on Google Patent Search. So there's pretty good patent search stuff out there. Furthermore, what about the name of your business or the name of the product you want to offer? Are other businesses using this name, or are they using this name as part of their products? This is really important, actually. You could get in trouble if you try to use a name that's too similar to another business that is also doing something like you're doing. So you can search trademarks online at the U.S. Patent Office as well. And you should Google this. Google all the names you want to use to figure out how they're currently being used. And then you should ask, what laws and regulations are my business going to fall under? This is really, really important. Unlike everyday life where we tend to know the laws that actually govern our behavior, this is not true in business. There are all kinds of arbitrary regulations you would never imagine existed, and you have to know about them. Not knowing about them is not an excuse. You really have to do your research. So you should also be able to understand, how might your business fail? What might go wrong? And so some questions that I suggest you make sure you can answer are things like, first of all, what are the reasons this business might fail? For each of these potential reasons, you should be able to figure out things you can do in advance to try and lower the probability of this happening. You also need to know, how is your business going to make money? Just saying, oh, we're just going to get our website really big and then put ads on it is not a business strategy. You need to understand how you're going to make money. You need to know how many customers will you need to actually be profitable. That's really important. You might need 10 million people on your site every day to be profitable. You need to figure that out in advance to see if this is a viable business model. And then you have to ask, how are you going to get these customers to actually try your product? And once they do try it, how are you going to get them to stay and continue using it? So what are you going to do to incentivize them to not leave? All right, so now that your idea is ready to go, there's this question: who should you actually start your company with? So it's my belief that starting a business alone is generally a bad idea. And there are a few reasons for this. First of all, there are a lot of skills that go into starting a business, as I mentioned. It's very unlikely that you personally possess all of these. So you might want to look for a partner that has some of the ones that you lack. It's also a tremendous amount of work to start a business. If you have multiple, and not just to work on an employee level, but on a management level, on a partner level. And so if you have multiple partners, you can distribute this work. So the work per person tends to be a lot less, which means you can probably get your product launched faster than you could otherwise. Also, starting a business is stressful, and business partners actually perform the function of giving each other support psychologically through difficult times. When things are not going well, they can get each other through it. And that's actually an important function, preventing each other from giving up. Partners can also give each other social pressure. When you're starting a business, you don't have a boss. And so you don't have that social pressure to be in the office, to do your work. But a partner can behave sort of like a boss does. You can behave like that to each other, to make each other more productive. Partners can also challenge each other's ideas. And we all have biases. Some of them are systematic, that everyone has, but some of them are unique biases. And those unique biases, you can check each other on. You can prevent each other from falling into them. And that's really important. And you can help prevent each other from making bad decisions. And finally, having a partner can just make the process a lot more fun. One of the nice things about starting a business is being freed from the traditional office environment, being your own boss. But it's lonely working alone, and having a partner there just can make it a better experience. And I just wanted to, this is my only piece of data in the whole talk. This is according to the Startup Genome Report, which is this recent report on qualities of different businesses and how it affects their progress. Basically what they found is that among companies that went and raised funding and were working full-time, or the partners were working full-time, those that just had one founder took on average 3.6 times longer to get to the scale point of their business, where they started growing fast, than those that had two people. And so that's what this graph shows. This is the amount of time it took with one founder, two founders, three founders, four founders, etc., to reach the scale part of their business. And you can see actually here, two founders was quite significantly the shortest amount of time.
Also worth looking at the absolute numbers there. Two founders being just over 2 years, no, just under 2 years.
Yeah.
And one founder being over 5 years.
Right, and it's a pretty dramatic difference there. Okay, so you should probably have a partner or two. But what qualities should you actually look for in this partner? Well, as I said, there are many business skills out there that are really important. Things like relevant technical expertise, product development, having useful connections, understanding the customers, sales, having money to fund the business is a useful asset, customer relations, marketing, etc. Many, many skills that are really important. You want to find a partner whose skills are going to complement your skills, meaning they're going to fill the gaps in that where you're weaker. And I think it's really important to point out how important sales and marketing can be. Because I think a lot of people think, if I just build a great product, then people are going to want to use it and everything's going to go great. But that's not necessarily the case. And there are definitely a lot of cases of products that were high quality that just didn't sell because they had poor marketing, and on the other side, many low quality products that sold great because they had great marketing. I mean, I remember this anecdote about this drill and tool company that couldn't sell their low quality drills to experts. And so what they did is they repackaged them. They just took the same drills, but they just created totally new packaging and gave them like more plastic so they looked sturdier. And then suddenly they started selling to experts, professionals who use these tools. It's things like that that can make a huge difference. It's not just about the product quality, but also about how you sell that quality. And then things like connections and networking can be really valuable. I mean, knowing the right person at the right time can just completely change a business. You should also, you should really take this into account and consider, if you start a business, consider bringing someone on who's strong on the sales, marketing, networking, connections side. All right, second quality to look for in a partner is the ability to give and receive useful criticism. Not everyone, as I'm sure you've realized, is like this, but this is really important in business. You want to be able to give your partner suggestions of how they can improve and have them incorporate these suggestions and become better. And you want it to go both ways. You want your partner to be able to give this to you as well. If you have this together, you will become better and better over time. If you don't, you might become frustrated or stagnate. And I know that after every marketing meeting that I do, I ask my partners for feedback on how I could improve, and it's made a dramatic difference. So I think this is not to be ignored. You also want them to be able to do high quality independent work. Now this sounds like an obvious thing, but there's a certain aspect of this that people may not think about, which is that if you feel like you have to check over your partner's work, it's going to reduce the efficiency of your company dramatically. On the other hand, if you have multiple decision makers that can work independently and that trust each other, that don't feel the need to discuss every little detail of what they're doing, you're going to get work done a lot faster. And there are companies where, because people don't trust each other, they end up having to always meet to talk about everything. And it's just not an efficient way to do things. You also should have good rapport. You're going to have to spend a ton of time with someone you start your business with, inevitably. Personal conflicts in a business, not only can they make it really unfun to go to the office, which will reduce the amount of time you'll spend there and make your life miserable, but they might actually destroy your business. I mean, there are definitely cases of people who just can't work out their personal issues and the business folds. Furthermore, when you enjoy each other's company, it makes things fun and it makes you want to go to the office. And so you actually most likely be more productive, as long as you don't distract each other too much. Maybe you shouldn't like each other too much, that would be a problem as well. All right, so once you've found partners, how do you actually go about dividing up the equity in the business, or the ownership? That seems like an important issue. And so I'm going to propose 3 different options and then propose a sort of compromise solution. So option number 1 is you have no equity agreement. And the basic concept is we'll just work out our ownership structure down the road. We'll figure that out later. And I've known a bunch of startups that have actually taken this option. And the pros of this are that it's really easy and effortless. You don't have to worry about anything. It's also nice because it can actually be very hard to figure out in advance how equity should be divided. Because you don't know how much work people are going to do. You don't know how valuable people are going to be to the business. And so if you try to figure it out all at the beginning, it can be a challenge. The cons of doing it this way are that after lots and lots of work has been done and you've created something of value, everyone's incentive is to get as much equity as they can. So people's incentives are not well aligned, 2, 3, 4 years down the line. Furthermore, this may actually incentivize partners to try and screw each other over, which is really not something you want. You might have one partner who tries to take 80% of the business, and that's just not a situation you want to be in. And these conflicts actually, even if they don't end up destroying your business, they could just make an unpleasant work environment, and not the kind of place you want to go into every day.